Is Steven Gerrard about to become the next Poland FC manager? The Polish FA have apparently approached Steven Gerrard on the new role after Michniewicz got relieved after a very lacklustre and very disappointing campaign. But is this the right move for Steven Gerrard? Is this the right move for Poland? We'll be discussing Gerrard's managerial career so far, as well as answering those questions. But if you haven't already, please can you go and subscribe to the channel? I do appreciate all the subscriptions I get. It's an overly sort of little change here. Look at it. It's just changed a little bit. It's absolutely fine. Look at change it back. But we'll be discussing the little stats and facts to start off with. Obviously, Poland were very lackluster in the World Cup, like I did say. And this video will be very, very short because it's very, very speculative, isn't it? But it's a very weird question. We are 11 days into the campaign, 11 days into the year even. Yeah, call it campaigns. I'm such a football fan, Jesus Christ. It's the weirdest question so far, and I thought I'd just come in here and discuss whether it is the right move for each the country or the person. So obviously with Poland, they drew against Mexico, they beat Saudi Arabia, they lost to Argentina very poorly, only 0.32 xg in that game, and they lost against France in a very lackluster game too. Although they did perform quite well, they still didn't have the legs up front. Michniewicz obviously wasn't the right man at the time. I had to find out how to pronounce his name, to be honest with you, because I'm English. I'm very ignorant. I do apologise about that. But is this the right move for Poland? Because obviously in those games, the France game, I'll put it on the screen now. In the France game, it was a 4-1-4-1 formation. In the Argentina game, it was a 4-4-2. In the Saudi Arabia game, it was a 3-4-1-2. And in the Mexico game, it was a 3-5-2. And obviously, that isn't the way forward to win any sort of game. You can't have any consistency in formations. I forgot that word for a second then. But you've got obviously the likes of Lewandowski, Malik, you've got Szczesny, Matty Cash, Bednarak, Zielinski, Krajowiak. You know, it's these sort of players. They are the spine of the Poland team is very, very good, albeit quite agey. They need to have a new breed of players essentially in this Poland team. It's quite aging so far, and hopefully they will need a manager that hasn't got that much experience in terms of World Cups, because I think that they need something new, don't they? In terms of how Poland played in the World Cup, it was very defensive, and the fact that I nearly put Szczesny in the team of the World Cup shows how well or how poorly the defence was, but how well Szczesny was. He saved 3 penalties in the World Cup at the time. And they need a bit of a revamp. They need a bit more of an attacking approach, because the defensive approach didn't work with Michniewicz. Obviously, this is where the story of Steven Gerrard comes about, because if you look at Steven Gerrard's style of play, it's very offensive, very possession-based, very wing-based. But we'll be discussing his stats right here. So obviously, Steven Gerrard at Rangers probably was his peak. I mean, it was obvious, wasn't it? 193 games, 125 wins. And obviously, in the SPL, you're going to have a high percentage anyway, because there's only 2 teams, but they went the whole season unbeaten in the COVID season, and it's a feat that it can't be ignored. Like the Arsenal one for England, there's been a couple abroad as well, but the Rangers one with the rivalry with Celtic hasn't gone unnoticed. Obviously, with Mick Beale as the assistant manager and a couple of others who he had in his backroom staff. The one at Liverpool that comes to mind. I can't remember his name quite. Apologies, getting a bit of a cotton off. But obviously, he usually plays a 4-3-3 formation. And it didn't really work well at Aston Villa, because whether or not he didn't have enough time, I'm not too sure. I think that it wasn't really clicking, was it? I think that this sort of offensive wide forwards with Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins weren't the right forwards at the time. And I think that given another year, it could have worked out for him. But obviously, it's the Premier League and it's a brutal knee-jerk reaction. Obviously, I'm talking about Steven Gerrard's time at Aston Villa and I think I spoke about it a couple of months ago. It didn't work, did it, essentially? But like I said, all we need is 2 fullbacks who bomb on as an overlap, with the wide forwards digging in, because that's usually his approach. He usually plays a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 on a very, very consistent basis. 95% of his time at Rangers and 94% of his time at Aston Villa were with those 2 formations. Now, I'd go back to the lack of consistency with the formations at Poland, and the lack of attacking approach that Poland had, this almost seems like a match made in heaven, almost, doesn't it? With Gerrard's consistent behaviour and his attacking approach as a manager, this seems like the perfect opportunity, as well as the fact that he's out of the limelight, isn't he? He's sort of out of the reports and he's out of all the headlines, isn't he? With a job at Poland because of the amount of games they play, because of, well, it's Poland, isn't it? It's not England. It's not a team in England. He isn't dug down by the press every single day, and it might work out in his favour. He might achieve something at Poland that nobody thought he could achieve because he's clearly a good manager. He's good in the youth team at Liverpool, good with Rangers, well, imperfect with Rangers essentially, because he nearly got them to the semi-final of the Europa League as well before Van Bronckhorst became the manager. He probably would have got him there as well, but well, we'll never know. That's speculative at this point. But this this is all speculative as well. But yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I think that the consistent basis on the formations, as well as the attacking, offensive, possession-based football with the wide men coming on the overlaps, I think it would work perfectly for Poland FC. And I think that it would be a very, very interesting scenario to have. Whether or not it'll take it, I'm not too sure. And I might have to delete this video in a couple of days' time if it doesn't happen. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts. If there's anyone Polish here, are you excited by the prospect of Steven Gerrard being your manager? Because obviously McNeil, which didn't really work out, did it? It wasn't. It's very pragmatic football. Wasn't probably the way forward, especially in a World Cup when you need to win the first game. That isn't the approach to have, especially with this very, very quick World Cup that came and went like instantly, didn't it? And quite frankly, the fact that Poland were hardly remembered by, other than the fact that they got battered by Argentina and battered by France, sort of sums them up, doesn't it? So let me know in the comments below. Subscribe, if you enjoyed the video. This one was just a bit more of a speculative sort of delve into Steven Gerrard's manager's style of play, because I do like to speak about style of players, do like to speak about stats and figures on a very sort of loose-ish, rambling-esque monotone voice. I do apologize if you're still here. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And please can you like and comment below, like I said, and subscribe to the channel. So I will see you all very soon. This one's just been a very, very quick one. Hopefully Gerrard gets the job. I really hope so. And I will see you all soon. So peace, guys. Cheers.